What's up, everybody? It's been a long time away, at least for the show. We did an NBA gig last week, but we're back.
What's up,
The
everybody? It's
NBA draft is done and over with, and I'd say it was pretty darn good for the Atlanta Hawks. We'll dive into that here in a few. Welcome to the ATL Sports HQ live show, episode number 27. I am Bob Lancaster. You can find me all over social media at Bowling Bob.
I'm Phil Beasley. You can find me on Twitter at _ATL Phil.
I'm Derek Clemens. You can find me on Twitter at Derek Clemens.
I'm Brett Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Brett_A27.
Yeah, Phil's dog is ready. But yeah, it was such a big week for the Atlanta Hawks that we had to bring in all four of us. It was going to be three, but then Kent Bazemore got traded, so Brett had to jump in to share his love stories of Kent Bazemore. So we'll get into that a little later. Let's start with the Atlanta Hawks and the NBA draft. Man, what a good day it was for the Atlanta Hawks. At the number 4, DeAndre Hunter, we traded up. It's not an official trade yet, but it's as official as it's going to be. Well, I think July 7th, right?
About July 6th, somewhere in there.
Yeah, July 6th, July 7th. There's still some money situations that LA Lakers gotta figure out for the trade to be finalized. But I mean, it's as good as done. Then the real treat of the draft as Cam Reddish slid to number 10. And so we were able to get him. The reaction of the crowd was unreal. In fact, you know what? After we get done with this show, Phil, why don't we put that? I'm pretty sure I saw there was a Twitter thing of the reaction of the crowd when that pick was made. But it started at number 9 when Hachimura got drafted by Washington, and it just kind of crescendoed to the number 10 pick. And as if that wasn't good enough, then the Hawks trade up and grab Bruno Fernando, to shore up the center position, the big position. So overall, what do you think of the draft, Phil?
Man, what a great draft for our Atlanta Hawks, to really fill an area of need. Now, some people say we overpaid to reach up there to get Hunter, but I think we did what we needed to do. We got the guy we wanted. He only worked out with us, supposedly. I don't know how true that really is. But, it seems like a match made in heaven. A really good two-way player, averaged 15 points at Virginia. 15 points doesn't jump off the paper at first, but you got to remember, Virginia played that awful, slow, terrible, no fun, no good offensive system. They averaged like 50 points a game. So, I could see him coming in next year and averaging 15 points here. But, that's not what he's being brought here to do. He's being brought here to defend multiple positions. He can defend the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. Most nights we'll be able to stick him on the opponent's best player. I think he'll be in here starting from day one.
Yeah, what'd you think of the draft, Derek?
Oh, I thought it was great. I mean, it was perfect for us and what we wanted. Like you said, Phil, we got exactly who we wanted in both players, in Reddish and Hunter. And, I mean, you really can't ask for a better outcome. We got 2 great wings that can play together, and we also got a big that has the NBA body and has a chance to actually be a big in this league in the future. So, I mean, you couldn't really ask for more, especially in the spot that we were. I mean, this was literally, the perfect outcome besides getting Zion Williamson, of course. But, I mean, we got 2 players in Hunter. I mean, Hunter, he's a great defender, and he's efficient on the offensive end. Needs to improve some of his shot-creating ability, but, I mean, he doesn't really have to do that early on because we saw how great Trae Young is finding open shooters. So, I mean, I think he will excel at that. And then we have Reddish, who can take some of that pressure off Trae Young and score on his own. So, I mean, I think we just got a great group now, and the young core is starting to come together, and it's going to be fun to watch next year.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Lloyd Pierce was talking today about Cam Reddish and Hunter, and he was mentioning that a lot of the trouble they have was the ability to shoot, with no spacing. And he was talking about how, Trey will create, and that offense creates so much space that, someone like Cam Reddish will improve his shooting ability, just on the fact that, he's not, they're not going to be just, I guess, tightened in there. So, and that's one great thing I like about the Hawks offense, is it does create spacing, and you're just bringing in so much speed. It's unreal. So, Brett, what you think about this draft, man?
I love the draft. Again, like Phil said, we feel a bunch of people thought we traded too much up to number 4 to get DeAndre Hunter, but I was one of those people myself thinking we traded too much. But again, that's the guy we wanted and Schlink wanted. There's nothing wrong with it. We had the assets to do something like that. That's the point of getting all those assets, is to do something, get somebody you really want. And of course, you get to steal the draft supposedly in Cam Brash at 10. He's got probably the highest ceiling in this draft besides Zion and RJ probably and John Morant. And but I really like the big we got from Maryland, Bruno Fernando. I feel like he can come in and contribute right away. He's got an NBA ready body, and was a very good rim protector at Maryland.
Yeah, Bruno, last year was, put on lists as like a consensus at least top 5. Some had him number 2. Yeah. So he, he's had eyes on him, for a couple of years now as being a guy that can contribute to the NBA. A lot of people did say, that they thought that the trading up was, for Hunter was, giving up a bit much. But I think that all ended when Cam Reddish fell into our laps at 10. And I told Phil on the radio show, I said you could start to see about number 6 that who these people needed, that there was a really good chance that Reddish was going to fall. And I thought Washington was the one. And, as soon as, Woj was, again, couldn't say that that's who they're going to pick because ESPN didn't want him spoiling. But, once he said that Washington was interested in Rui, I knew, that was going to be the pick. And I knew that Hawks fans would be really, really excited. One thing that I like about Cam Reddish is, you can have scouts say stuff and you can have, other people say things, but when you have 2 of your teammates in both of their press conferences go out and say that, he is the steal of the draft at 10, that says a lot. I mean, those are guys that played with him for an entire year. So, but I'm with you guys. What an unbelievable draft. And what's that?
Go ahead, finish up.
I was going to say, we found at least 2 guys that are going to jump into the lineup, with us. We created small ball, which I'm a huge fan of because I just love athletic running up and down the court, tiring teams out. You saw a lot of teams do that to us last year. So I'm really excited about the athleticism alone. Then you take on the shooting aspect of things, and we could honestly put up some points next year.
Like you said, I mean, Reddish is already, you are very talented when you're well respected by your peers, because it's not only just his teammates hyping him up and saying he's still a draft. I mean, there's been players that's had to guard him and said that he's the hardest person that they've guarded in their whole basketball career. And so, that just goes to show something. And like you were talking about the Hunter trade, at first I wasn't very high on it. I didn't think it was the best idea, but when Reddish landed at 10, it was perfect.
Yeah, I think even Travis Schlink was couldn't believe that fell into his lap,
Yeah, he said he rolled the dice.
Yeah, because I really thought, I really do think that he, probably wanted Cam Reddish as much as Hunter, but just felt that there was no way that Hunter would slide down to them at 8 and 10 to make that work. So, and you, as a general manager, you go into those things with a board, and that guy that's at the top of your board, if he is a can't miss guy, which is what they thought he was, you're going to be willing to move up. That's why you had all those picks, and you had that ability to move up. But like I said, a lot of people were talking about how lucky he was that he was able to get, the 1 and 2 guys on his board. So, it was just unbelievable in general. But, I'll ask this question to you, Phil. What do you think these, I'll say the two. I'm going to say Bruno. Bruno is going to be he's a work in progress. What do you think these two bring to our starting five?
I think initially Reddish won't be starting. I think it'll be more of our six man because I definitely think Herder will be in there. I think you'll go Trey, Herder, Cam, John, and hopefully Deadman. No, we don't know. But like I said, Hunter, he's going to be that guy who you can throw on the other team's best player defensively 1 through 4. I really think he can guard all 4 positions. And then Cam, you're just going to kind of throw him out there with the second unit and say, hey, do your thing, get in how you fit in. We might have you on there to close out the game with us, but you're going to be that initial guy off the bench. You and Bembry are going to anchor that wing spot.
Yeah. Do you think I'll ask this one to you, Brett. Do you think that having, Cam Reddish and Trey Young, do you think like Trey, overall will end up, being the leader of this team? Because I kind of think, Cam Reddish is just as big as name to me as Trey Young is, so, but, I guess my question is, like who do you think is more of a leader, Trey or Cam?
Oh, well, I kind of still got to say Trey Young because even though Reddish could develop in that guy down and probably won't be this year, but it could be 3 or 4 years from now that could develop that clutch gene and be that go-to guy down the stretch. Kind of like I'm not gonna say we're going to beat the Warriors, but it's like I think it's going to be Trey's team, like the Warriors of Steph's team, but he may not be the best player on the team like Kevin Durant was the best player in the Warriors this year. I'm not saying Reddish is going to be better than Trey or whichever. I'm just saying that's always going to be Trey's team, I think, because the game's going to go through him. He's going to dictate the flow of the game because the ball's going to be in his hands every single play.
Yeah, Trey Young already claimed that role. He told everybody this is his city.
Yeah.
He even was wearing a shirt. He has a shirt made, and he's been wearing it.
Yeah, Trey, if you're watching this, man, we still need a shirt. That's all I say. We banged on Sunday. We'll bang on Wednesday, too. So we need a shirt badly. So one thing I want to ask you, Derek, do you kind of think that Kevin Herter got a little disrespected this week? Seemed like his picture wasn't in any of the pictures this week on Twitter. It's kind of like he was a forgotten guy.
Yes, I think he was a little forgotten, but ESPN actually put him on their little picture of the young core in the NBA. But people aren't going to forget. People aren't going to forget about him when the season comes. I agree with Phil. I think Herter has earned his spot in the starting rotation when the season begins. And I think he just going to have to show his worth just like he did last season. I mean, he's going to hopefully he should be even better. I mean, he got better. He progressed throughout the season last year. So I can only imagine how good he is going to be after a full off season. So, I mean, I think he's going to be a starter at the beginning of the season. And people are going to figure out his name sooner or later.
All right, last question on this part of things. This will be up for all three of you. I'll start with Phil. Phil, is this now a playoff team?
I'm coming into it with an open mind. I don't want to place expectations on them prematurely. You never know what's going to shake out in free agency. So the East might get a little better, even though indications are that it might get a little worse. But I want to go out there like last season and just enjoy it and have fun. Hey, if we make the playoffs, great. Initially I said I think we could. In the rebuild process, I thought it was going to be a quick turnaround. We definitely have the potential. And if we gel right and we can play some defense and score enough to keep up with just about any other team out there, I think we can compete for that 7-8 spot. I think, as currently constructed right now, this is about a 35 to 38 win team. Depending on what year that is in the East, that's good enough for the 8 spot.
Brett, what you think, man? Do you think this is a playoff team?
Oh, yeah, I'm with Phil. I mean, you got to – if Young and Herter come off and pick up where they left off last season, and you're going to add in whoever having free agency and hopefully keep Deadman, and we'll see what Reddish and Hunter can do when they come in. But I feel like there's 6 teams locked in the East: the Bucks, Raptors, Sixers, Celtics. Even if they lose Kyrie and Al Horford, they still got they use Rozier, maybe not, maybe not the Celtics, but the Pacers and Nets are going to be those at least 5 of those teams will make the playoffs, and then but yeah, the 7-8 seed is definitely obtainable. Like Phil said, 36, 37 wins, that can get you in the East.
How about you, Derek?
Yeah, I definitely think that it is a possibility, but I'm not going to go into the season expecting it. I mean, we won 29 games last year, and it's hard to expect just because we add 3 new rookies that they can take us to the playoffs. But I mean, like has been said, I mean the East is kind of weak on the downside, and I mean the Pistons were 8th seed last season, and then I forget who was 7th, but I just think we can be in that range and fight for a spot. Yeah, Orlando
7th.
I think they'll get better this year. I think they were kind of surprised last season of how well they played. I think they'll be a little better. So, but I do think that we could be in the race at the end of the season. But I'm not going to go into the season expecting it because, I mean, shoot, add another lottery pick on this team, and I mean, we got a bright future.
Yeah, I'm in the 37 to 40 win. What's going to be my prediction for that team? If that's playoff, that's playoff. I mean, that's great. If it's number 7, number 8, so be it. But I'm not going to. I don't want to put they are playoff team prediction on them. But like I said, I do think that they are a 37 to 40 win team now. Some of the guys in chat. Doug, he says the fringe playoff team, which is I definitely agree with that. And then, of course, the residential expert Tushar Patel has told us that we are definitely, or they are a playoff team, and everyone knows it. So everyone but a few of us here, I guess. But if Tushar has said it, that means it's definitely going to happen. That's the ATL Sports HQ rule. But let's talk a little bit about Hawks free agency. Phil, what do you think the needs are going into Hawks free agency? I think it starts the 6th or 7th.
Well, I had been on we need a veteran backup point guard who can defend, but I guess we kind of took care of that. We'll get into that later. But we need a starting or backup center, whether that's Dedmon or whether it's not. That's to be decided. Honestly, not much other than that is going to happen. I believe we have 14 players under contract and about $14 million in cap space. I'd love to see Vince Carter come back. He says the team that he's with always has the first dib. And, I think he deserves a little more than that veteran's minimum just because, he's like an assistant coach too at this point. So, a 1 year, $3 million deal. Hey, but if he wanted to go to like Toronto or something to retire, I'm all for that. I'd respect anything he does, but that'd be a huge loss for our locker room. But I really would like Dedmon back. So he made about $7 million this year. The way his contract is set up, he's eligible to receive like 175% of what he made this year. So he can make about $12 million. Atlanta is interested, but only in a short-term situation, like a 2-year, $24 million deal. That's what Chris Christianer said from The Athletic. By the way, subscribe. It's well worth the money.
Kirshner. We'll get it right eventually. You've been listening to E way too long.
But I'd love to see Dedmon back on like a 2-year, $24 million deal. I love the toughness he brings, the energy, and I think he's a good leader. Yes, the youth movement is great, but you can't have a team full of 23-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 21-year-olds. Someone has to be in there to hold those guys in check and just show them the ropes a little bit. So that's what we'll touch on base more.
Look at it, look at it the right way. If they need some extra money, we'll just take Alan Crabb's bail money and put it into our funds for free agency this year. So that was the big breaking news. Our new shooting guard from Brooklyn has got arrested for DUI. So if you haven't heard that, you aren't missing anything because nobody else knows either. So Brett, if you could make a big splash of someone now realistically that you think would come to Atlanta, who would your big splash be free agency?
Yeah. Realistically, I gotta go with Kevin Looney. I really like. I know it was mentioned that Chris Kirschner. But I don't know if I said that right either. His article of the day, but yeah, Kevin Looney is a guy I would really like. Yeah, he's young. He kind of doesn't really fit the mold like Phil Slide. We do need an older guy, but I just like the potential there. He was a terrific player for them, the Warriors in the playoffs, and that's again, it's not a big splash, but yeah, Kevon Looney would be a nice little addition to this team. I think it'll be a perfect good fit in Atlanta.
Yeah, Derek, I know that you may agree with me, you may not on this, but do you think like with the way that the Hawks drafted that it kind of took the the aura of we're going to go get someone big splash guy because there doesn't look to be any room in the starting lineup now for anybody that's a big name guy.
Yeah, definitely. I don't. I see us being on a down low, and I mean, I really don't even really see us going outside the box unless we can't get Edmund back and someone else gives him a good deal. I don't think we're really going to try to bring anyone that's going to make a huge difference. I like the name that Brett said and Looney. I think he would be a solid pickup, young guy. He likes to run. He has experience on a championship team, which is always great to have that championship pedigree, especially on a young team like we are. So I mean, I would like that pickup as a center. Maybe even he might start. I don't know, but Deadman, of course, and I mean, I don't know any other really low key centers that would help, but I think that would be the biggest get. But I mean, outside of that, I don't really see us making a move. Maybe grab a forward if we can at a decent price, but I don't see any long term deals being handed out. And I think in the 2020 off season is when we try to find guys in the free agencies that can take us to the next level.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that you need to write it out this year. See what you're getting now that you've put two more lottery picks into this equation, and see what that core group of four brings to the table, and you fit around them. You're going to know after this year what that missing piece is, whether it is a center, whether Bruno can fill the big spot. We're going to find out a lot about this team this year. I agree that they need to just fill in guys. I definitely think Vince Carter's. They need to get him back for another year. You need that veteran presence one more year. You saw how well it worked. For Trey and Herter last year to have those names, and you just lost a big one, in Bazemore. So you really need to keep the veteran presence in there to keep that locker room going. He's a big must for me. And then I agree with Dwayne Dedman as well. We're not quite ready to get rid of him yet, but he's going to command some money. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Hawks are willing to bid on him. So it looks like his stock has risen a little bit and going into free agency. So it may just price us out for him. So. All right, well, let's just we'll stay with the NBA draft, but we're going to talk about the NBA draft just in general. I'll start with you, Brett, on this one. Who you can talk about player, you can talk about team. Who were your big winners and who were your big losers of this draft?
Well, I guess the big winners. Well, that's kind of tough. I'm gonna go with Bol. Actually, I know he slid far, but he went to a good situation. I feel like in Denver, they went through as a Michael Porter Jr. They took it slow with him. He's going to a place where he's not going to be rushed in. He's not going to be. I wouldn't play him at all this year. He probably won't play at all this coming year. Let him just do his thing. Do exactly what Michael Porter Jr. did. Even when he does come back, he'll come back slow. And Denver is now, I think, the best team in the West right now. Them or Utah, I'm about to say right now. But I feel like even though he did fall, I felt terrible for him, but he couldn't have gone to a better situation, I think, where it ended up.
So who do you think was the big loser?
Big loser? Let's see. I gotta go with the Wizards. I mean, don't get me. Hachimura is a great guy, but I feel like he could have traded down and gotten him. I mean, that kind of surprised me. I mean, I know that scouts were saying how you can have a guy. Some teams have a guy ranked like number 12, and another team have him ranked like 38 or something like that. But I feel like Hachimura was a guy I could have been there later on in the teams or trade down like 15, 16, something like that, and get him there. But that was kind of questionable to me. Of course, then I got to say the Suns. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but just the Suns in general, they don't know what they're doing at all. So that's the two losers for me.
Yeah, I was scrolling through chats a few minutes ago, and Dougie says the same as you. You know, it's like the Washington and the Suns. Like, what are you guys doing there? You know, quick shout out though to my boy Rui. He first Japanese-born player to ever be drafted in the NBA. So I'm very happy for him. He's such a good dude. So Derek, biggest winner now. Let's see, be person or team, and biggest loser in the draft.
Biggest winners, I would have to say, besides us, because I think we're definitely top three biggest winner. But the Pelicans, obviously, they won. I mean, they got a boatload of players for Anthony Davis, and Jackson Hayes is going to be great next to Zion and the rest of the crew. Good rim protector. I think he's going to be a solid big. Sucks we weren't able to get him, but I wouldn't change it. Another winner, I don't want to say this, but unfortunately, the Celtics, I think the Celtics were a winner on draft night. They are soon to most likely lose Kyrie and Horford, and I think they got some solid pieces in Langford, Edwards, and Grant Williams from Tennessee. So I think they were kind of a winner on draft night. Biggest loser is definitely the Suns. I don't understand why they traded back and then they drafted someone who was going to be there in the early 20s, and Cam Johnson, who is going to be around 28 years old when his rookie contract is up, which makes zero sense to me. They kind of went backwards in this draft. They had a chance to get one of the point guards in Kobe White. Darius Garland was, of course, gone, but maybe they could have manifested a deal with the Cavs and moved up to get him. So I don't really see what they were doing. So they're definitely the biggest loser. Another person that the Pelicans picked up, I'm pretty sure they picked it. Didn't they get Nikhil Alexander, if y'all know who that is?
I don't remember.
They got traded to the Pistons, didn't it? That Pistons.
No, he did. The Nets picked him to go to the Pelicans.
There was so much going on.
That's the pick we traded to them.
Yeah,
but Nikhil, he's Shai Alexander's cousin from that plays on the Clippers.
I remember Shai. Wasn't Shai there in the crowd?
Yeah,
I remember that.
He was with But Nikhil, I mean, he's very good, and I think he will be good for the Pelicans too. So they're definitely a top winner on my book.
All right, Phil, your winners and losers.
Well, the winners, not to be biased at all, but the Atlanta Hawks. I think we had a great draft, but honestly, New Orleans. I mean, to recover from the Anthony. Now we don't know if it'll lead to wins or anything, but to just on paper right now to recover from the Anthony Davis saga, as well as they have, man, give David Griffin the executive of the year right now. Just go ahead and give it to him. Even if they don't end up winning, like look at how many years it has taken Orlando. Look how many years it took them to get up over losing Dwight Howard. Look at how many years it took Cleveland to recover from losing LeBron. It took LeBron coming back, and then watch how long it's going to take them this time. Look at Sacramento. Well, Sacramento wasn't really good with Marcus anyway, but you get the point. Teams trade these stars or lose these stars, and it takes them a decade or more. Look at Minnesota after Kevin Garnett. Like 12 years, get back to the playoffs for one season, and I think they're back at square one. But that's a different story for a different day. It takes these teams forever to recoup these losses, and New Orleans, honestly, is probably better off than they were.
Well, so the fact that Zion was put in their lap made trading Anthony Davis that much easier because you knew that you could put pieces around Zion quickly, and having Zion there, it changed it changed their tempo too. They went from a slower paced team now to just as much athletic as I would put the Hawks. They're going to be running up and down the court as well, you know. So yeah, they're definitely an exciting team. So, and who was your loser?
Well, I'm on the same page as you guys. Washington and Phoenix. I have no idea what Phoenix is doing, from the owner to the GM. And I'm sorry to Phoenix fans. I hope I hope people don't actually pay to go there. Man, they're like the Hawks of 2004 with just bad ownership, bad management. I'm sorry.
I sat there watching that draft pick, and I'm like, my God, is Dolan running the Phoenix Suns too? This is like a New York Knicks rookie mistake. It was just hard to believe, because if we sat here and we talked about the one team having the most glaring need of needing a star young point guard, and then they just do what they did, and I'm just like, okay. That makes no sense whatsoever. You're trading out where you have two guys that could fall right into your lap that were, that are starting point guards. So yeah, it was mind-boggling. My winner, Cam Johnson, man, he flew up the charts. So I had started to hear, about a week before, that he was ranked a little higher on people's boards. I definitely didn't see him going as high as he did, but so he's a big winner. For me, I thought obviously the Hawks and the Pelicans were the two biggest team winners. I thought Rui was a big winner. Didn't expect him at number 9 either, but and I worry that's just too high for him. My biggest loser is I'm actually going with Bol. And for the reasons, that Brett said, that he won with the right situation. Yeah, he's probably in the best situation, but he was told before the draft that he should have stayed in college one more year, let the foot heal, play. You got to figure this guy already needs to put on weight, and he already has foot problems. And when you're a 7-footer and you got foot problems and you ain't even already put on weight, that's not a good start to your career. You've seen a lot of 7-footers, go down exactly like this. Yeah. And so that's why his draft stock. My other big loser was Nasser Little, but it also makes Portland a winner, because Portland got Nasser Little fall into their lap, where they're already a playoff team, and they just added a good young talent to that squad. But we mentioned that this is like a problem that North Carolina freshmen trying to come out and a little too early when they weren't starters on their team. What's the Hawks guy I'm thinking? Marvin. There you go. Marvin Williams. The same type situation as Marvin Williams coming in. And I think people realized what a mistake it was to draft Marvin Williams that early on in the draft. And so that may have scared people when it came to Nasser Little. But yeah, I mean, the Trailblazers aren't disappointed that he fell that long. So, because they needed that piece too. So it was a really, really good pickup for them. So, hold on, let me pull up my thing here. I'm a little behind here.
Also, another thing about Bobo, he also lost out on a lot of money. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the rookie contract scale, but he was projected to go around 20. He would have got guaranteed, I think, over $3 million next year. Now he's looking at non-guaranteed around like $1 million.
Yeah. It was an interesting thing. I knew once they got past about 13 or 14, I was like, you start to look at see, who's left and who wants a center. And you're like, okay, yeah, not going to happen here. And then that team would come through, didn't draft him. I'm like, ooh, this is not good. So, all right, well, we will end our draft talk, and we will get into the reason we're all here today. Kent Bazemore traded. Just hard to believe, well, not really hard to believe, but disappointing to me, disappointing to Brett.
Like, you knew it was coming, but you didn't want it to come.
Yeah, traded to the Trailblazers for Evan Turner. Looked like it was just a contract for contract kind of gig. What are your thoughts on it, Brett? You lead us off. You are the man. So let's hear it.
I don't get it at all. I mean, they need a backup point guard, but at least get one that can at least shoot the ball at a decent rate, not 21% like Evan Turner does. Um, and if you just look at this, Bazemore was just a better player. I just did not get it. You save $600,000. They're both expiring contracts. I mean, I don't get it. Why not just? I don't. Sure, we need a backup point guard, but why not just keep Bazemore? We're just going to end up getting worse in the trade. I just did not get it at all.
Well,
what? Go ahead, Phil.
I mean, I understood it. I didn't necessarily like it. I would have rather had a different backup point guard, but the explanation from Swank was great. You know, you want to open up those minutes for the young guys who you are going to be building with. Come on, if we remember, we were all tired of Bays January, February, March, April. I'd rather see Bembry, Reddish, Hunter get those minutes than Bazemore. We know what Bazemore is at this point. Yeah, he brought a lot of leadership, but I don't want him leeching minutes from those guys. And we covered a need, you know. In order to trade Bazemore, it was going to be taking back another bad contract. And thankfully, we were able to take one that also expires next year. So I think that in itself is a win. And also, you know, it's kind of a stopgate for backup point guard spot. You know, at first I was thinking buyout, but then it seemed like Evan was happy to be here because he immediately tweeted, "If you're looking for me, I'll be in zone 6." Chances are he won't be in zone 6. So, he has lots of money. So, but I mean, I get the move. I didn't love the move, but it's about as good as you were going to get, position wise and need wise for Bazemore.
All right, Derek, we need the Stephen A. Smith to Brett's Max Kellerman here. Get it, man. What you got on this one?
I just think it came the time. I mean, after we drafted 2 wings, we knew. I mean, we've been trying to trade Bazemore for a while now to get that contract off our books and try to get assets back. And we just never really found a deal that worked for both sides and what we wanted out of Bazemore. I mean, obviously everyone loved Bazemore in Atlanta. I mean, he was a great mentor. He was great for the community and just everything. I mean, he just represented Atlanta sports for the Hawks for a long time. And I mean, he was there for the wins, the losses, and the mediocrity. So, but it just was that time after we drafted 2 wings. There was just no space for Bazemore anymore. And we were able to, like Phil said, give him up for someone that's also expiring, but bringing a lot of money. But it's expiring next season, and someone that is going to be able to help us at that backup point guard role. And, I mean, Brett mentioned he's a terrible shooter. I mean, he shot 21% from the three-point line. But I think a player like him being around 6'7", a defensive guard, you can put him in and run him with Trae Young, take some of the ball handling duties off of Trae Young's responsibility sometimes, because Trae Young's going to have to learn to play some off ball, and I think that will help him with his scoring and help him get easier shots. So, I mean, it's not the ideal deal because, I mean, obviously I think Bazemore is a far better player, but the situation and the position, Bazemore wasn't going to work any longer on this team, and I think it just had to be done.
Yeah, I think it was strictly a decision made that Travis Schlenk saw the opportunity to get just a backup, a backup point guard with not having a spot for Kent Bazemore to play on this team this year. Kent Bazemore last year was horrible. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He was terrible, as bad as I've seen him. And I love Kent Bazemore. I think he's, a good teammate. Again, he is great for the community. He's done a lot for this team. In the 5 years that he's been here through the good, he's been here through the bad, but man, he had to go. And he doesn't fit fit what Travis Schlink is trying to do here. He doesn't have the athleticism anymore. There was a lot of times where he would be on the court and he'd be on the court with Trey, and I would just sit there and wish he wasn't on the court with Trey. He was just so behind on passes. Again, it's a twofold situation because Evan Turner brings nothing to this team. I don't.
No.
Other than the fact
Nothing.
that he's a backup point guard. I mean, that's the only thing that I see him being is that just means that he can come in for that year and then we can get rid of him, and so anything that he does bring to this team will just be whatever. I don't know. I would see this as, I guess last year this would have been a thing where if we'd have just taken on the money and he would have been released, but he just happened to get lucky that spot is open, and so and there clearly wasn't anybody to fill that spot. So
the thing I like about the trade, because we put baseball. I mean, we pretty much showed that we appreciated what he did for the team throughout all the years, because I mean we put him in a situation to thrive. Put him on a playoff contender, a team that needs wings, so his minutes are going to be key. And I mean, it goes to show. I mean, Bazemore put a post on Instagram, and he even added thank you to the front office. It's good to see that people care. Even his brother put out some stuff, shouting out Schlink and stuff. So I mean, they obviously did the right thing. I mean, Bazemore knew his time was coming. I mean, he's been on the block the past few years. And it was just finally time, and I think we did it the right way, and I think he's happy with it, and he's going to do well in Portland.
The minute he signed that player option, it was like, it's not going to happen here, So, but definitely check out the article that we have on ATL Sports HQ where we do say thank you to Kent for what he did for this team. Again, he's going to be missed. I mean, he's responsible for a lot of good, funny moments. Obviously, the Bays gaze was something that'll always be remembered. So, but Brad, you got one more thing. Hit us up. What you got?
Yeah, I know the trade was definitely time, but it could have been like Baseball could have went and asked for the trade. Like you said, you thank the front office, but I feel like, but him by saying that also could have appealed to free agents, knowing that the front office is not going to. By the time comes, you ask for a trade, they're not going to send you off to Phoenix or something. We could have sent him off to Phoenix, and he'd been stuck over there, the dumpster fire. But somebody the small things like that could help part of the culture we're trying to build here in Atlanta. Put the players first and make sure all the send the players off when it's time for them to go on. Like I guess it was for Bazemore, even though we got a guy that is just awful. Was that?
I agree. I mean, we've had signs of just not really doing anybody wrong. I mean, we've had trades the Melo. Neither of us really wanted. Melo didn't want to be on the Hawks, and the Hawks really didn't want Melo. We bought him out, and no conflict there. And then the Jeremy Lin thing, we didn't just send him off somewhere. We bought him out and let him sign a deal he wanted to. So I mean, we've been very good with that, and the front office, I mean, is well respected around the league. It's not talked about a lot, but it definitely plays a part in free agency and getting players to come to your team.
Phil, you got something to add?
Yeah, and as Kirshner said, one good thing about Evan Turner, the people in Portland are saying he was a very, very good leader and a good locker room guy. So hopefully he can help fill the void left by Bazemore.
He wants
to fill for sure.
He wants to be there. I mean, like you said, he tweeted right away. He probably got the notification from Woj and tweeted after that. But he probably didn't know nothing about it. But he's a vet, so I mean that's always good. And I mean he has experience running the second unit for the Blazers at times, and I think he did it for the Pacers too. Was it the Pacers? The Celtics.
Yeah.
Celtics, not the Pacers. I'm thinking of Thaddeus Young, and he didn't do that. But yeah, he's had experience and he's a vet, so I mean he'll help somewhat, but obviously isn't in the future plans of the future.
All right, one last thing on the NBA, and then we'll move on. What do you guys think about this new proposed Adam Silver gig where we have a shortened season and a mid-season tournament. I read that thing like 3 times, and I don't think I understood what is going on. So hopefully you guys can explain a little bit better to me. Phil, what do you think about this new structure schedule?
It'll never happen unless players are willing to give back money, and TV people are. And here's the real one. And TV partners are willing to reduce their revenue. So, yep, end of story. Move on.
Derek, your thoughts?
I hope Phil's right. I hope it never happens. I mean, it seems a mid-season tournament seems to take the credibility out of winning the finals, really. And I mean,
what are you are you trying to be the big 3? I don't understand this. It makes no sense to me. I was like, you ain't the NCAA. Why don't the NCAA pay their players for a tournament before the NBA worry about a tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Brett,
only thing I would be interested in, I mean, is like having the tournament set up where it doesn't matter what conference you're in, but I still think that would be a mess. I mean,
or maybe a little tournament for lottery positioning.
But I seen that.
Yeah.
I saw that, but then I saw somebody say something that I kind of agree with. They was like, players aren't going to take something serious that they're trying to get into a lottery for players that are going to come in and take their spots.
What about a tournament for 8 seed?
I'm on board with this tournament today. I like that during the playoffs, you take the crappy teams into a tournament like the NCAA tournament, and the winner gets the number 1 pick in the draft. I like it. That's a good idea, Phil. I'm voting you for commissioner. So, but Brett, what are your thoughts on that?
It makes zero sense. Like, we're going to take away games, but we're also going to add more games in the middle of the season. That cup idea is. Who's gonna want to play them? Like, LeBron James gonna get excited and go into playoff mode for a mid-season cup or something like that? No, it's stupid. It's terrible.
I don't understand that. That's the main part that I don't understand. I don't see the reason for it. I mean, what kind of credibility does that hold for a player? Like, what makes them want to say, "Hey, I want to go out and win this in the middle of the season," and then try to go out and win the finals at the end of the season? So I don't know.
He just has to. Adam Silver has to explain it a little bit more, I guess. To there just wasn't enough that I understood what was going on. But one last thing, because I did want to ask this question, and I'm going to leave myself and Brett out of this one. I'm going to start with you, Phil. What are your thoughts about Adam Silver making it to where you can't say team owners? Now that's team governors. I want to know your thoughts, man, because I don't understand it because I'm a white guy, but still, what are your thoughts on it?
It makes sense. It's not something I initially think of when someone says owner, but I think in the NFL it might be a little more applicable after that story with the Houston. Oh my God, I want to call them the Astros and the Rockets, Texans. With the Houston Texans, that kind of makes sense. But, hey, it makes sense in principle, so why not? I mean, we're supposed to be getting better at everything. So, progress has to start somewhere.
Derek, real quick, man. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
It makes sense, but I do think it's a little bit on the sensitive side. And, I mean, I don't see these people calling those guys the governor of a team. I mean, I think that's a weird but I mean, the argument does make sense, but I do think it can be a little too sensitive.
Yeah, I thought that Phil put it good. I think it was a reaction to the whole NFL thing, to be honest with you. Adam Silver has done a really, really good job of trying to be on top of things like that. And he sees what the diversity is, in the NBA. So, he knows who's buying the tickets. He's not a stupid guy. So I thought that was a reaction. I was just curious. That's something I definitely wanted to ask you guys tonight. So let's move on to the Atlanta Braves. Man, how great is this? Been a fun season. So far we are what now? 6.5? Are we? 5.5. Not counting today where we are up 5-0, but we are in a lightning delay. One thing I want to shout out is all-star vote voting starting today, so make sure you vote for all the Braves players. I think we got 8 people that you can vote for. So just go down the list, vote all Braves, and then whoever that 9th guy is, just randomly put whoever you want. So, but yeah, definitely do that. So let's start with Brett on this one. What are your thoughts first on Dallas Keuchel, both what you've seen, if you've seen anything tonight, but from his first game, what were your thoughts on Dallas Keuchel's first start?
I mean, I didn't actually I was working on his first start, so I didn't see any of it. But tonight he just looks like he's making the big pitches. Like I've seen it. We had first and third, or the Cubs had first and third, 1 out, and he got a double play ball, and it's like the second time it's happened in this game. He just makes the good pitches that he hit the spots for low change up for a ground ball. He's gonna get it. If you low and away, he's gonna get it high and in. He doesn't really miss the spots a lot. So that's what big thing I like about Keuchel. He's gonna put the defense is gonna have to do some work, but he's not a huge strikeout guy like you see, but he's got good stuff. He can pile up the strikeouts when he's on. But yeah, he's gonna put soft contact. He's gonna pitch to soft contact and make the plays behind him, and he's gonna be almost unbeatable when he's on. You're making the plays.
Phil, how important do you think that the run that Josh Donaldson has been on has made to, improve this offense, especially Freddie Freeman?
Oh, what a waste of money. Oh, I can't believe it. Josh Donaldson has been huge. Really, the whole 1 through 8 has been huge. But Josh Donaldson, I mean, he's been worth every penny so far, and he's going to come up huge for us down the stretch and in the playoffs. And can we talk about Freddie Freeman for a second? Having an MVP season, this guy, if he doesn't finish top 3 in MVP voting, something is broken. Just like the voting seems to be broken over there in the NBA. Man, anyway, but Josh Donaldson's bat, he's looking like his old self. I didn't think we'd see him be this good. I thought it was a high risk kind of medium reward kind of deal, but it's been a high reward thing so far.
Well, our resident expert Tushar that predicted that the Hawks are guaranteed to get in the playoffs also said that Josh Donaldson was a waste. So that just tells you, what we think of his opinion. But no, they are looking like they did last year again. It's been 95 projected wins. You add Dallas Keuchel. I thought his first start showed me exactly what I want to see from him: the ability to get ground ball outs. He wasn't going deep into a count, and that's exactly what I want to see from him. I want a guy that goes 7-8 innings, lessens the bullpen, the work, and we really don't have a starter to do that. Josh Donaldson, like you said, he's really picking it up, and he's important because he does set the table for Freddie Freeman to actually get pitches within the strike zone. And so he's such a big aspect to this, and he's been worth every bit of it now. And then kind of bringing the fire, with his ejection the other night, which I thought really got this team rolling. We were kind of a little bit of funk. He did that, and all of a sudden he woke up with the bat and went crazy. And then you almost have the fight with Tyler Flowers, the other night with Chicago. And so it just seems like the Braves just have a lot of fire. But we still have a lot of needs. The bullpen still needs to be addressed. I wrote a controversial piece that's been getting a lot of chatter over at Chop Up Chop Down on 5 possible trade things. One thing you don't do, the Braves fans, is talk about a trade that involves a prospect that they think is like the greatest thing ever. Last year it was talking about Austin Riley in trades. This year it's Christian Pache. So that's just the intended part of my piece, is that when you have top prospects like that, eventually some of these guys got to go in trades to make the team better. There's not going to be a spot for every single top prospect, and he's going to be the name most talked about. And you've looked at some of the bigger names that have gone to other teams in trades for closers. It's not it's not uncommon for a top prospect to go in a trade like that. So, all right, let's talk about the Atlanta United. Phil, give us an update of what's going on with United.
Yeah, so right now we're in the 75th minute up in Toronto, tied at 2-2. Yeah, lots of big names out for both sides tonight, so really a glorified second team matchup. And we'll be back at it Saturday at home against Montreal. Still will be no Joseph. Tito's still out with a knee injury. Joseph's down there playing for Venezuela. And Barco is out with a knee injury as well. So, not much excitement. We got Pitty still, though, and then we have our defensive cogs. But they're also in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup, which it seems like we're actually trying for this year. The round of 8 will be July 10th at KSU versus USL side has made it all the way to the quarterfinals, St. Louis Football Club. So that'll be interesting. So you might as well go ahead and pencil in. No, I'm playing. Don't do that. But the team is still playing good. It'd be great. I'd say even coming out of here tonight with a point would be good. I'd like to see us win, but hey, I mean, we're shorthanded. They're shorthanded midweek match with another one coming Saturday. So it'll be okay.
Phil, really quick now, since we're on the subject of soccer, give us an update on the Women's World Cup. I know they had a really, really good match with Spain. That was really close.
Yeah, so I believe they play France Friday.
Yeah, they played Friday against France.
Friday, France to go to I believe this is the round of 8, the quarterfinals. But they're gonna have to play better than they played. Coming in, they had outscored opponents like 8,003 to 0. But they actually got a run for their money. A controversial penalty awarded late to get them through the other day. But USA is the odds-on favorite to win it. It's not like our men's team, who are the odds-on favorite to not even make it to the World Cup. So support the ladies. I think it's 2:00 on Friday. So for us working folks,
they've had a little bit harder of a time than they did against Taiwan when they ran off 17 goals. So you had to figure that it wasn't gonna always be that easy for sure. But I'll talk a little bit about the Atlanta Dream. I've been covering them quite a bit this year. Boy, did I pick a bad season to start covering them. The team has been an absolute disaster. Really, it's been, hey, we're really good for 3 quarters, and then 1 quarter of play, we're absolutely the worst team in the league defensively, and they're 2-7 now. They lost to the Washington Mystics over the weekend, Sunday, and it's just not. I mean, it's just not working. I mean, I don't know if that's Nikki's coaching or the fact that Tiff Hayes really, I mean, has been all right. She hasn't been the superstar player. They have a lot of younger talent. But it's just been disappointing to watch. They're definitely not in the same league with the top teams in the East. Washington, especially in the third quarter, just absolutely dominated. The first half was actually really good. Tiff Hayes had 18 points, and really quick because she was shooting the ball well. And Elena Del Don, she was held to, I think, 8 points in the first half. And then it was like they started the third quarter and Del Don couldn't miss, and Tiff Hayes, they locked her down. And by the start of the fourth, she wasn't even playing anymore. They were playing their rookie point guard. And it's not really working. Have you noticed anything, Phil? Are you noticing anything with them that's you think's different?
They just can't score. I don't know if last year they were running off the adrenaline or something, but something isn't connecting, and they gotta get it. They gotta get it right quickly. It's not the NBA. You don't have 82 games. You only have 34. So you're 8 games in. You're basically a quarter way in. The only saving grace 8 out of the 12 league teams make the playoffs, so they're not really even out of it. A 2-game winning streak, and they're right back in the thick of it.
Yeah. Again, it's gonna be pretty much to where the point now you've got to run off a 5 or 6 game winning streak. Or else you're pretty much done, and that's with them taking pretty much everybody in, to the playoffs. So, I'm gonna watch again Sunday. They're gonna play the New York Liberty, so I will be there for Pride Night. So usually it's actually usually a good turnout there for that game. So that's just one other thing. I'm gonna throw that real quick. Is they got to get out of that arena. They got to go to that, figure out how to get into that new College Park arena. And because it looks really, really bad. We had an ESPN game Sunday, and I was embarrassed for being a ESPN game, and it just looked bad. But shout out to their press corps there, the people that handle the media relations. Fantastic. That's honestly the easiest and best service that I've ever dealt with. And, this I've covered, I think, 3 or 4 different squads, and it's so easy, and they just treat you so good. So, and I'm not just talking about the great breakfast buffet I had on Sunday either. So, well, let's get into some buy or sell. I'm going to start with something that I think that we all need to talk about when it comes to Atlanta sports. This guy what was the name of the paper, Phil? Do you remember the name of the paper? I didn't write this thing down.
Gaston Gazette.
Gazette, yeah, the Gazette. Man, he didn't even have a vote for Trae Young at all. So buy or sell, Brett, this guy ever allowed to vote? Because he had other crazy votes too. I mean,
Dennis Schroeder for 6th man of the year.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder for 6th man of the year.
I don't know what that's Gastonia, North Carolina, suburb of Charlotte. So, for some reason, the Charlotte fan has something against Atlanta.
So buy or sell that guy getting to vote anymore?
I'm buying it. He shouldn't be able to vote in elections anymore. That's awful. He should lose all voting rights. That's awful. Schroeder over Lou Will, Crawford. You have just leaving Trae off the ballot for a guy Jaren Jackson had a good year, but played 58 games or something like that. It's just did not understand. I feel like he was one of those writers that he was a Trae hater, and he just did not want to admit that he was wrong. I feel like a bunch of writers are like that. They don't want to admit that they were wrong about Trae Young. So that's just the way I feel about it.
Buy or sell, Derek? Does this guy ever get to vote for things in the NBA ever again?
No. Buy. I don't. He put Jaren Jackson on there. He had a terrific year, but he also only played 50 games and wasn't even close to a year that Trae Young had. So it's terrible. I don't understand it. I guess Brett's reasoning may be the reason why, which wouldn't surprise me because, people care about what they said and can never be wrong, especially people of that type. But I won't speak anymore on that.
Buy or sell, Phil?
Buy. In the words of that orange person, get that son of a out of here right now. Fired.
Well, I'm buying. I was tweeting at the dude. I tweeted at the Gazette Sports, and I'm like, dude, how clear does it have to be that your sports guy didn't watch a minute of NBA this year? Lord, come on, you want
I bet.
No disrespect, because as a place that has been discounted because of our size, how does the Gaston Gazette get one of the 100 votes anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Your guess is as good as mine, man. I mean, I wonder if it's because you got to be a long-term credentialed guy. I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But yeah, they need to take that credential away because clearly he ain't using it to watch NBA basketball. So, man, I don't know. I don't know if he was just trying to troll, but to me, that's just not something you troll. When it comes to NBA awards, something like that, your vote matters. So if you're trying to be a troll, You know, don't vote. Don't submit a ballot if that's what you want to do. You want to be funny.
Just like the D Wade situation when he came out and said, "Don't use your votes on me." I mean, use it on players that like on the first team or all NBA team. He said that. So I mean, yeah, those votes actually matter no matter what.
And they matter in some people's contracts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because some people are getting awards. So, all right, next buy or sell. Georgia receiver Jeremiah Holloman was kicked off the team after an investigation into whether or not he allegedly choked a woman and punched her in the face back in 2018. The victim needed 6 stitches and she didn't press charges. Holloman had initially told police that after the incident, he hit her with a quick jab in response to her making contact with him first. I'll start with you, Brett. Buy or sell him deserving to be kicked off the squad?
I'm buying it because there's no room for that, and that's there's no shoes for doing anything like that. I keep seeing Georgia Tech fans saying that they need to believe in second chances to bring them over to Tech. No, we don't need any of that over here either. It's just I hate it for him. He's a great player, but you can't make mistakes like that. That's more than a mistake right there. You can't do that.
Derek buy or sell him deserving to be kicked off?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy. I think it was the right move. You have to send that message that behavior will not be tolerated on the football team or any team. I mean, I wouldn't be mad of him getting a second chance, but I do think they need to figure out the consequences first and let whatever, if it goes to trial, whatever, if he gets charged with something and just see what happens. But I wouldn't be mad at a team giving him a second chance. I mean, I believe people deserve second chances, and sometimes you make mistakes. So, but he definitely should have been kicked off of Georgia.
Is that why you allowed me back on the show today? Because
exactly.
Chance. I had to hear this from my dad for the last 3 weeks. Hey, man, are you not on the show anymore? I'm like, Dad, I'm taking a break, man. All right, buy or sell, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely no place for that. And the allegations are true. He should have been in jail. I don't know why the girl wanted to press charges. He probably paid her. Anyways, yeah, no place for that. Absolutely no respect for anybody who hits people.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you guys. I'm buying this as well. But man, what a big loss for Georgia. Holy smokes, man. That was not a position that, you really could afford to lose. And Holloman, especially after all they lost this offseason, that's another big loss. But one thing that used to bother me with Coach Rick was it seemed like he had arrests and stuff like that happening in the offseason every single year, 2 or 3 guys. And I think that, Coach just wants to set the example that that's not how it's going to be with him, him being the head coach. So I think it had to happen. But I agree with Derek. I agree with second chances, but I'm not as much agreeing with second chances if it's ever proven that he did, if she ever goes, I just think domestic violence is one of those things where you should lose the privilege of playing the game. So one last buy or sell question. Kevin Durant has declined his $31.5 million player option. Could you imagine turning down? Nah, I don't want 31.5. Forget it, man. That's not good enough for me. Buy or sell, Phil, Kevin Durant going back to the Golden State Warriors?
I'm gonna sell because he's obviously not gonna play next year at all. So if he planned on staying, he would just, play that out. I think he's going to go somewhere. They're going to sign him for that, whatever, 4-year, blah, 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 max, 4-year, $140 million, somewhere around there. Hopefully not New York because I don't want them to have nice things. Maybe Brooklyn or something. Shout out Knicks fans. I hate you.
Brett, buy or sell? Is he going to stay with the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, I'm selling it too. I think he's Brooklyn bound. So yeah, if Phil said if he was going to stay with the Warriors, he would have accepted or opted into that player option, then test the waters in free agency next year. But I think he's gone for sure.
Derek, buy or sell?
Yeah, I'm going to have to sell. After them reports came out about their medical team and stuff, and what Iggy said, there's no trust with that medical team, and coming off an Achilles injury when you're starting. I mean, he's not old, obviously, but he'll be in his 30s. It's hard to do, and you need the best medical team around you, and they obviously don't have it there. So I'm definitely selling. I think he will most likely probably end up on the Nets.
Yeah, I'm selling as well. I think that again, if he wanted to stay with Golden State, you take the player option, sit the year, and then go again when you're healthy. So it wouldn't have made sense for him to do that. But he can sign a 5-year, $221 million deal with the Warriors still. Anywhere else he can only sign a 4-year, $164 million deal. But we're all talking Brooklyn. I think a team that could surprise and come on into this is the Clippers. They seem to want to spend some money this year as well. And a lot of people are really liking the Steve Ballmer ownership group there. So that could be kind of a thing. I've heard that he does kind of have a relationship with Steve Ballmer that was present when he was playing for the Supersonics. So that could be kind of an interesting deal. Steve Ballmer's was always a Supersonics super fan. So they do have a previous relationship. So that's going to be something to watch out for as well. So Phil, go ahead and do some shout outs, man.
Definitely not a shout out for how it looks like this Atlanta United game will end. Looks like a penalty for Toronto in the last few seconds of stoppage time. So, wow. Okay. Shout out to everybody listening, to everybody supporting. We definitely appreciate you. Come right for the site.
Brett, shout outs, man.
A shout out to the viewers and listeners, and shout out to old Athens boy Moore Rocker, putting on a show throughout this entire college baseball tournament, and the Super Regionals and the World Series. Played against him in high school. He's going to be special if he can't see from his last 2 starts. So,
gotta love Vandy, man. Vandy is just baseball powerhouse, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch every year. So, Derek, who you shouting out, man?
Shout out everyone watching. Chat seemed very active in YouTube, so that's always a good sign. Hopefully you keep coming back and watching. Be sure to share the link with your friends, family, everybody you know, and we'll have iTunes, Spotify, whatever, all the streaming services. Share that too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to shout out everybody listening. It was like I've been keeping an eye on YouTube all night. It's been going. That's a big thing for us too. So we definitely like the chat. It helps us. We like to throw that in with things. If I have an idea or something like that, and a lot of your comments will help shape what I want to say as well. So shout out to you guys. And one special shout out. One of my favorite sports reporters of all time, Bob Lee, announced his retirement today from ESPN. 40 years he's been there. Some of the best ESPN stories. Now, I know it's sad, Phil. You don't have to be disappointed. But no, he's been one of my favorite ESPN reporters for many years. He's broken some of the biggest sports stories in the world. But he announced his retirement from ESPN. I've heard rumors that he may be going to the Athletic. So that would be huge for the Athletic to get, because he's a investigative type person, journalist now. So he'd be a great addition to the Athletic if that's what he chooses to do. If he just wants to ride off in the sunset, that's good enough for him. So, but thanks for listening to the ATL Sports HQ Live podcast, and we'll see y'all next time.